Hello again. Let's look at bar scales. A bar scale is also called a linear scale, but be careful, don't use the word line scale. So the thing is, sometimes people don't learn their work and then they take a guess. They might say line scale, which is very close to one of the correct names. So it's a bar scale or it is a linear scale. And they have got a fair number of different shapes, and in your red and white book you'll see some on about page 150. But I've drawn two different versions of a bar scale on the board. Now, in a bar scale, unlike a numerical scale where there are no units, in a bar scale the units are very important. So for example, in this one I have 4 kilometers here. So from that you can work out 1k, 2k, 3k, 4k. On this one I've written 20 kilometers. So in other words, that distance represents 20 kilometers. Now, how do you work with bar scales to be as accurate as possible? I will come to another use of bar scales later. Firstly, take out your ruler and measure your bar scale. We'll work with the top one. So you place your ruler on here. And please measure the entire bar scale. Do not just measure a small part, because if the small part is maybe 9 millimeters, it might look close to a centimeter. And then your error is going to be enlarged when you start multiplying. So for minimal errors, please measure the whole bar scale. And then I pretended it was 5 centimeters. And in the second step, you set up your measurements that you measure with your ruler and the unit given like a numerical scale. So you might say 5 centimeters represents 4 kilometers on this bar scale. In the second step, we must bring both sides to the same unit. So you take your larger unit to the smaller unit. Remember, there are 100 centimeters in a meter and 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So you multiply by 100,000 when converting kilometers to centimeters. Then you're going to bring it to unit form where you want 1 on this side. So you will divide by whatever number you have on the left. So if it could even be 5,19 or 3,2, whatever number is here, divide by it and do the same on this side. And then you will get your numerical scale. In unit form, 1 is 2. Now, if this is a decimal, then please round to the closest whole number, because very often this might not be a round number. So when you divide, you'll get a decimal. And you don't want a decimal in the scale. You will just round to the closest whole number. Then in the last step, you would measure the distance on your map. And you will multiply, because you want to know the real distance, by your scale factor. And then it might need to be converted to kilometers again by dividing by 100,000, which you can do. Now, a common question is, what is the advantage of a bar scale? That's a common question in a test or exam. And for kids who don't study, I'm afraid they very often say it's accurate. It's not actually the most accurate. A numerical scale is the most accurate kind of scale. So what is the value then of a bar scale? Well, with our digital age, maps and plans in books are very often enlarged or reduced. And a bar scale stays accurate and usable as a map is enlarged or reduced, because the bar scale is enlarged or reduced by the same amount. So it stays accurate when maps are enlarged or reduced. Secondly, you can have a very quick estimate. So it's very easy to maybe look at the map, and if you saw a distance about that, you can say, okay, if this is 1 kilometer and this is 2 kilometers, that distance is probably about 1,8. So without picking up a calculator, you can very, very quickly estimate distances with a bar scale. So for example, on tourist maps of a town, you might have a bar scale, because tourists don't necessarily carry calculators. I know that these days we do have cell phones with calculators, but people are just not going to get them out and do that kind. They want to figure out, can I walk there? Do I need to take my car? And you can very, very easily see this distance. I think those are the main advantages of bar scales that I'll discuss here. But the disadvantages and advantages of each type of scale is discussed in your textbook and very nicely laid out. Please look at it. Thank you.